So how many properties can you identify in a 1031 exchange? We're going to talk about that right now. Understanding the 1031 rules are going to help you to realize there's some flexibility for you and give you an opportunity to buy actually more property than you originally might have thought you were able to. You're going to find out there are actually two big rules, not one, for identifying replacement properties. You're going to learn that you could buy more than one or two properties in your exchange. You're also going to find out that you can take multiple properties and how you can do that to get a nice big building by getting rid of one or two or three properties within the same time frame. And the big benefit is this is how you're going to build a lot of wealth potentially and have a lot of assets to depreciate to offset cash flow by depreciation. So you can put the cash in your pocket but not have to pay taxes on it right away. What most people know about 1031 exchanges is the 3 property rule. So we'll talk about that first. The 3 property rule says that when you sell a property, you can identify up to 3 properties that you're going to buy. I talked about that in the last video. But the key to those 3 properties is you want to make sure they're of equal or greater value than the one you're selling. If you're identifying 3 and one of them is of lower value, that's okay, as long as you close on 2 of them to make sure you get more in terms of value than what you're selling. Let me show you what that looks like in real life. So if I sell a property for $300,000 and I identify 3 properties, and one of them the purchase price is $200,000, one of them the purchase price is $400,000, and one of them the purchase price is $500,000, okay? Depending upon how much cash I get out of my exchange on the property I'm selling will depend on how much I can buy for these properties. Now, if I just bought the $200,000 property, that wouldn't work. I would have a taxable event because I didn't get a property that was greater or of equal value. So I would want to close on these 2 together to get $600,000, or just one of these, right? Or what I like to do, maybe I could close on all of them and buy $1.1 million worth of real estate from selling my $300,000 house. Now we're going to talk about in a minute why you might want to do that, but this is the most important thing, is that you can identify 3 properties. You got 45 days to identify and 180 days to close. That's the first rule of how many properties you can identify in a 1031 exchange. But there's another rule, and we're going to talk about that right after you subscribe, because most people will never tell you this rule, and this is really important and one that I've used as well, which allows you to increase the amount of property that you're able to buy and grow your real estate portfolio faster. So here we go. So the next rule you're going to learn about is the 200% rule, which most of you have never heard about. We're going to talk about it right now. The 200% rule says that you can identify as many properties as you want to buy as long as it does not exceed 200% of the property you're selling. So what that means is it allows you to buy multiple properties and identify as many as you want, as long as the cumulative value of all those properties does not exceed 200% of the property you're selling. So how would that work? Well, let's say, going back to our example, in this first example, you could close on all 3 of these because the 200% rule doesn't apply. You could buy as much as you want, as long as you identify the 3 and close the 3, right? But on the 200% rule, I could potentially buy 10 properties, but they can't exceed what? 200% of this, right? So 200% of the value of the underlying property I'm selling, also called the down leg. So that rule applies if you want to buy multiple lower price properties, you think it's a good investment, or these are rentals you want to get, but they're lower price, but you want more of them. You have options and you have flexibility. The key point here is to talk to your intermediary, your certified exchange person, or your tax attorney or your accountant to help you and guide you in this process. We're talking about a lot of money. Most people's biggest assets are their real estate. This is not a time to not spend an extra $500 or $1,000 or $1,500 to make sure you get it right, okay? Because by getting it wrong, it could end up owing 30, 40, 50, depending on how big your exchange is, thousands of dollars in taxes. I talked to someone this morning about an exchange. These people were buying a $9 million property through the SBA. They were in an exchange. The 45-day rule they met. The 180-day rule, they almost didn't meet their deadline of the 180 days because SBA ended up not doing their loan. So they had to go to Bank of America and they were able to get it funded within the 6 months, okay, and close. And there was equity in that property. They were buying for $9 million of about $1 million or $2 million of extra cash value in equity, not cash, but equity, because they got a great deal on the property. And as they were going through these months, property values were changing. So again, you want to make sure you have good people who are helping you. That's your tax attorney, your accountant, and your intermediary, your qualified intermediary, who are licensed and do this stuff every day and they know all the rules. Okay, the next rule is the 95% rule. Now this is kind of more advanced stuff and your intermediary or your tax attorney or lawyer can help you with it, but I'm just going to give you a summation of what it means. The 95% rule allows you to identify as many properties as you want, as long as you acquire properties valued at 95% of their total or more. When you're doing 1031 exchanges, you want to make sure that you try to get as much property as you can with the money that you're getting out of your property. And the reason why I recommend that personally is so that you have a bigger asset to depreciate and you can offset cash flow. Most of your lenders are only going to lend you 65 to 70% of value anyway. So if you have cash, say you come out with, you know, 500,000 in cash, I usually multiply that by 3 or 4 times, and that's about the range you're going to be able to buy something. 500,000 in cash, 3 times that's $1.5 million, 4 times that's $2 million. You're probably not going to get 80% loan to value. So you're probably going to be somewhere between $1.5 million, $1.6 million, $1.7 million. So you want to identify a property around those ranges. If they're for sale for $2 million, you may get them down to $1.7 million or $1.8 million. But identify properties in that price range. Or if you're buying multiple properties, just know that if you take whatever cash you're going to get and multiply it times 3, that's around the range, a couple hundred more, a couple hundred less, that you're able to buy. So when you identify, make sure that you identify in that range. So you aren't identifying something for $3 million, you only got $500,000, you're probably not going to get something for 15% or 10% down, okay? Probably get a loan on a bigger building like that at 70% loan to value, maybe 75 for some lenders, like Freddie Mac or a Fannie Mae loan, but most of your lenders are going to be between 65 and 70. And that's kind of what you want because it protects you, because you want to make sure you have enough cash to be able to pay your loan and not get in trouble. So that's why they go right around, you know, 70, 65, 70%. So the next video, we're going to talk about, can a 1031 be used to exchange into multiple properties? We talked a little bit about it. We're going to talk about it right now and show you how you can build your wealth by using your sale to create multiple properties in your name.